Of the year, Brian Dutcher, congratulations on the incredible accomplishment, Coach. What have these last 48 hours been like?
Just getting organized. This is my fourth trip to a Final Four. I went 3 times with Michigan. So I just know how hard it is to get tickets for everybody that wants to come, get all the detail work out of the way so we can do the real work, which is prepping for the game.
Well, that's one thing that I think a lot of fans might overlook is the fact that, sure, you haven't been there as a head coach, but you've been there many times as an assistant coach for Steve Fisher. It's been 30 years, though. Are there lessons that you learned in those first few trips with Michigan and those Fab Five teams that you can take into this trip?
I just say how much the world's changed. 30 years ago, there weren't cell phones. And so all the waiting time to do media, the kids had nothing to do. And so now, any dead time, they're on their cell phones. They have music. They have movies they can watch. So the dead time's not as long as it used to be.
What kind of coach are you off the court? Are you one that is really strict with your team? You're checking in, making sure everything's okay? Or are you one of those guys that they say, he's a player's coach?
I care more about how they behave than how they dress. So when we travel on the road, we're not all dressed the same. If they want to wear Crocs and they want to wear shorts, I don't care. I'm more concerned with how they behave and how they conduct themselves. And I've got a great group of young men, and that's a credit to their families.
Well, and it's an incredible, eclectic group of teams here in this Final Four. And I think a lot of us will go to the crutch and say, oh, we got some mid-major teams here. We've got Cinderella teams here. How would you respond to people who call San Diego State a Cinderella?
We've been pretty good over the years. Now, I haven't had much NCAA tournament success until this year. I lost my first game as a head coach to Houston, Calvin Sampson. Jim Boeheim rolled over us a couple years ago. Last year, we lost the overtime game to Creighton. So we've had good teams, but this is a hard event to advance in. And so now we've been fortunate. We've won some games, and but we're not a one-hit wonder. San Diego State's had a good basketball program for a lot of years.
Yeah, just ask Kawhi Leonard that, who went there back in the day and then won an NBA championship, of course. And 3 years ago, you were on your way potentially to a 1 seed when COVID canceled the tournament. And there are several players from that team that are stars on your team this season. Is there any sense of unfinished business there?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, you want to win every game you play, but we can't make up to those kids that never got to play in the tournament. Yanni Wetzel, KJ Fagan, Malachi Flynn, who's with the Raptors. They never got to play in the NCAA tournament one time. Obviously, all 3 were transfers to our program. So that's the worst thing I feel is that they never got to play on the biggest stage. These other kids that have on that team, they've played in other NCAA tournaments, but now they're playing on the biggest stage, so that makes me really happy for them.
Well, you play on that huge stage in the first semi on Saturday against Florida Atlantic. How does their fast-paced three-point launching offense compare to what you've seen from the Creightons and the Alabamas of the world?
I mean, they're a lot like us depth-wise. They're unafraid to play multiple players. They go 9 deep, we go 9 deep. Nobody on their team plays more than 26 minutes a game. I think we're pretty similar in that regard. And so as much as everybody wants to know who the starting 5 is, the game is often determined by the 4 guys coming off the bench. And so we will really work hard to familiarize ourselves with everybody on that roster.
Yeah, they're as deep as they come, and they all fit their roles great. I've seen them in person. I've seen you guys in person, and you're right. Very similar teams, workmanlike efforts. What do you think is going to be the difference in this game?
Usually it's turnovers. It's not giving extra possessions away. Rebounding is always big this time of the year. Extra possessions off an offensive rebound. So we want to make sure that we take care of the ball. We rebound at a high level, and then we just are who we are defensively. Continue to play hard every possession defensively. You
mentioned your time at Michigan under Coach Steve Fisher, who then took you with him to San Diego State back in 1999. 30-plus years as an assistant coach. Your dad was a D1 head coach by his mid-30s, eventually leading Minnesota to the Sweet 16. How did you have the patience to hold out so long to take over as the guy?
Well, if you're going to wait somewhere, a great place to wait is San Diego. So I've loved living in San Diego, loved our lifestyle. And coaching is a hard business to retire in. So you have to make sure you choose your path wisely. You take jobs you think you're going to be successful with. And once they named me coach in waiting, it was easy to stay and take over something that I helped Coach Fisher build for all those years.
How does San Diego State and what you built there now compare to 25 years ago or so when you decided to go to San Diego State and start this thing up with Steve Fisher?
You know, it just gets better and better. This university is incredible. I think it's the second most applied to school in the country. And we have facilities, we have a city, we have everything that we need to be successful here. Recruiting ground is fertile right down the road from LA, the Inland Empire. And so this program has always had everything it's needed to be successful. And now we finally reached that level where we're excited to take the next step.
I've heard people say, Coach, that while you have taken this team further than any other San Diego State team has gone, that this might not even be the best team that you or Coach Fisher have had. Are you willing to say that this is the best team?
It's made the deepest run, but that Kawhi Leonard team with Billy White, Malcolm Thomas, DJ Gay, Chase Tapley, we lost to a UConn team that went on to win it all. That team was sensational. X-Thames team lost in the Sweet 16 to Arizona. That team was capable of winning an NCAA tournament. And then obviously the 30-2 team never got a chance to go. So we've had good teams here. This is the deepest we've ever gone. And so obviously this team will get in the conversation of being the greatest ever.
Well, you have a chance to do that, and you're 2 wins away from a national championship. But this is one of the more unlikely Final Fours we've seen. I know you guys have been knocking on the door for a long time. You've been a 2 seed before. You probably would have been a 1 seed a few years ago. But when you look at the different teams, FAU, the facilities they have, nobody was thinking about Florida Atlantic coming in. Miami, they had never been there before. How do you make sense of what this Final Four is this season and what it means for college basketball as a whole?
It just shows what parity is, and that people want parity, and they want Cinderella, but some of the media doesn't want them in the biggest stage. So you can't have it both. So if you want parity and you want Cinderella, then you have to embrace it on the biggest stage.
Well, we're going to embrace it. We're going to be down there for the Final Four. Looking forward to seeing your team in action. Congratulations on the run, and hope you get to keep it going.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Brian Dutcher, the head coach of San Diego State. The Aztecs playing the Owls at 6:09 Eastern Time Saturday on CBS. That's the first national semi, followed by Miami and UConn just before 9 o'clock Eastern Time. You can also stream it on Paramount Plus and the March Madness Live app.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.